Behind the RedLine, Episode 77, The Poughkeepsie Killer, Kendall Francois, United States, 1990s. There are houses people learn to avoid, not because they know exactly what happened inside, but because something feels wrong when they pass by. On Fulton Avenue in Poughkeepsie, New York, there was one such house. 2 stories, beige siding, narrow driveway. A home that blended perfectly into the neighborhood. For years, neighbors complained about the smell. They described it as sweet, rotting, heavy in the summer heat. They called the city. They called the police. And each time, they were told there was an explanation. Garbage, animals, nothing criminal. They were wrong. Inside that house, over several years in the late 1990s, 8 women were murdered, and their bodies were stored while daily life continued around them. This is not just a story about a serial killer. It's a story about who is believed, who is ignored, and who is allowed to disappear. Poughkeepsie in the early 1990s was a city unraveling. Once supported by industry, it faced economic decline. Factories closed, jobs vanished, drug use increased, housing insecurity spread. Street-level sex work became more visible, not because it was new, but because fewer people had places to hide. The women who worked these streets were known to residents, to police, to clients. And yet, when they went missing, urgency was often absent. Reports were filed late, or not at all. Disappearances were written off as transient behavior. Assumptions replaced investigation. This context matters because predators do not operate in a vacuum. They operate in systems that fail quietly. Kendall Francois was born in 1971. By outward appearances, he was unremarkable, tall, morbidly obese, soft-spoken, socially withdrawn, living with his parents well into adulthood. He struggled to maintain steady employment. He had difficulty forming relationships. He did not stand out as violent. But later, evaluations would reveal disturbing traits, severe sexual dysfunction, compulsive behavior, necrophilic tendencies. These facts do not excuse his crimes. They help explain how they escalated. Francois did not hunt in dark alleys or distant cities. He brought victims home. Between 1996 and 1998, women began vanishing from Poughkeepsie. They were sex workers. They were vulnerable. They were mothers, daughters, friends. Some were last seen getting into cars. Others walking routes they knew well. Their disappearances were fragmented. Separate files, separate names, no obvious connection. And slowly, quietly, bodies accumulated inside one house. Kendall Francois lived with his parents on Fulton Avenue. They shared meals. They shared space. They shared a home. Upstairs, Francois stored the bodies of his victims in closets, crawl spaces, and behind doors that stayed closed. Some were wrapped, some were not. Decomposition advanced. The smell grew worse. Neighbors complained repeatedly. Police responded. Officers entered the home on at least one occasion. They did not search thoroughly. They accepted explanations, and they left. This was not one failure. It was many small failures stacked together. 8 women were ultimately identified. Their names were learned after their deaths. They were targeted not because of who they were individually, but because of what society believed about them. That they would not be missed, that they would move on, that they were disposable. Francois relied on this assumption, and for a time, it worked. In 1998, one disappearance finally broke through the silence. Police returned to the Fulton Avenue house. This time, the smell could not be dismissed. Officers searched. What they found confirmed years of complaints and years of neglect. 8 bodies stored inside a family home. Kendall Francois was arrested without resistance. He confessed. Francois admitted to killing the women during sexual encounters. He admitted to keeping their bodies. He showed little emotion. At trial, he was convicted of multiple counts of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. He died in prison in 2014. The Poughkeepsie Killer was not invisible. The victims were. This case is not just about a man who killed. It is about a system that failed repeatedly and predictably. Behind the Red Line exists to sit with that discomfort, to remember the women whose names were learned too late, and to ask the question that still matters: who is missing right now, and who is being ignored?